Hello and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to talk about a document from the Australian Buddha Dharma Society. It's a conversation that I found very thought-provoking. The main idea of this record is a Buddhist teaching that asks a question we've all probably wondered: why do we chase things we think are happy, even when we are suffering? This is called finding joy in suffering. It also asks, why do we see things that are not clean as pure and beautiful? This is called seeing the impure as pure. Today, we're going to try to understand these strange ideas by looking at this conversation. We'll especially see how they are used to explain diseases of affluence, which are becoming more common in our society. This connection is quite interesting. So, let's look at what the document says. The document starts with a quote from a sutra: "Bhikshus should know that ignorant people in the world find joy in suffering, see the impure as pure, follow the wrong path, and mistakenly cling to the highest, most evil places." Wow, that sounds serious. So, what do finding joy in suffering and seeing the impure as pure actually mean? According to the conversation, ignorant people means anyone who hasn't reached enlightenment yet, which is most of us. For finding joy in suffering, the conversation gives a surprising example: eating. From the Buddhist view in this document, eating is a form of suffering, even though it's needed to live. Think about it, it involves desire and a lot of trouble, like digestion and excretion. But people see eating as a very important source of happiness. They think the more and better they eat, the happier they will be. This is a classic example of mistakenly seeing suffering as happiness and getting stuck on it. Then, the idea of seeing the impure as pure goes even deeper. The conversation focuses on the food we eat, especially healthy vegetables and fruits. From this view, the very source where they grow is impure. Source? Yes. Think about what plants need to grow: fertilizer. The conversation says that chemical fertilizers are toxic, and even natural ones like animal dung and rotting plants are described as rotten waste. When you put it that way, it does sound a bit gross. The document even gives a specific example of old people using fermented human urine to water their vegetables. Human urine? Yes. They said it made the vegetables very green. But if you think about the source, it's very different from what we think of as clean. This really challenges our normal thinking. When we see beautiful, clean vegetables at the market, we don't think about where they came from. So this idea isn't just about a dirty source. It's also questioning our very definition of clean, right? Exactly, that's the key point. The main argument is this: the reason we think a red apple or green vegetable is clean and delicious is because of social and cultural conditioning. We've been labeled to think that way. Acquired? Yes. The thing itself probably hasn't changed. The document even says something very radical, that the sweetness we taste might just be a transformed bad smell. Sweetness is a bad smell? This is a very bold idea. It's saying that the root of what we feel is pure might actually be what we call impure. This all comes from what we've learned and what we're used to. Wow. If we take this idea further, it directly connects to the diseases of affluence. The document points out that obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes are common modern diseases. They are mainly caused by a better life, which leads to overeating, rich foods, and a lack of exercise. Yes, that's right. But what it says next is truly shocking. The conversation claims that a person only needs 1 cup of food per day to stay alive, including rice and vegetables. 1 cup? Yes, just one. Anything more is considered overconsumption. This is completely different from all the nutrition advice we hear today. Does the document explain why it has such an extreme view? The 1 cup idea is indeed very extreme. The conversation uses it to show how serious overconsumption is. It doesn't give scientific details, but it immediately connects to other ideas from the sutra to explain why finding joy in suffering and seeing the impure as pure lead to diseases like this. It talks about a few related ideas. First is following the wrong path. The conversation explains that when our minds are always thinking about food, like what to eat for lunch, and then for dinner, and when the main reason we work is to eat better food, this is seen as following a wrong path. So, making food the main goal and focus of our life is a wrong path? Yes, that's the view of this document. It means you are relying on food. Got it. What's next? Next is mistakenly clinging to the highest, most evil places. This means people chase after food that is considered the best and most delicious, but this food is often very high in calories, fat, and sugar, which are the most harmful to the body. The best enjoyment is also the most harmful. Exactly. Evil here doesn't necessarily mean morally bad. It's explained as something that brings suffering or harm, especially to yourself. The conversation describes this as being possessed by an evil spirit. Possessed? Yes. You're doing something that hurts you, but you feel happy doing it. That description is both fitting and a little scary. Then there's imagining deviant methods. This is not just thinking about it, it includes real actions and plans. It means people will think hard about how to eat more delicious things, even if they know it's not healthy. So, planning to eat unhealthily? Yes. The document gives the example of people who like to eat at restaurants because the food tastes richer and better. But this might be because of many harmful additives. This act of planning to eat potentially harmful food for a quick taste is imagining deviant methods. The last idea is lovingly and decisively exerting oneself in practice. This describes our attitude towards these bad habits. We don't just do them by chance, we genuinely love them, we are determined to do them, and we work hard to practice and strengthen these habits. Practicing bad habits? Yes. The conversation uses a good analogy. It's like learning a skill. You learn to do things you couldn't do before, and you learn to eat things you weren't used to eating. We are very active in our pursuit of these harmful pleasures. When you look at these ideas together, they create a very disturbing picture. We might be unknowingly turning self-harm into enjoyment and working very hard at it. The document seems to keep stressing how powerful conditioning and labeling are, right? Absolutely. The document repeats that we get into this cycle because we have been conditioned since childhood by our family, society, and culture. Our ideas of what is delicious, clean, and enjoyable are not natural. They are taught to us and labeled. To explain this, the conversation gives a very shocking example. Oh, what is it? It talks about a traditional drink in Peru called live frog juice. Live frog juice? Yes. To make it, they put a live frog, including its guts, bones, and maybe its waste, into a blender and drink it. Oh my God. The conversation then asks, if you had never been taught this culture, would you drink it even if someone told you it was very nutritious? You probably wouldn't, would you? Just imagining it, I really can't. I'd think it's disgusting. Exactly. This example shows a key problem. Our standards for what food is good or bad, clean or not, seem to depend on the ideas we learn later in life. Without those ideas, we might not even want to touch certain things. That's so true. Indeed, this example shows how powerful conditioning and labeling are. They can even change our natural reactions. It suggests that the standards for the delicious food we eat today might also be things we have learned. This leads to the final result mentioned in the sutra. Yes, the sutra says, you gain no real benefit and will not be free from the constant bitterness and suffering of the cycle of reincarnation. The conversation explains that living this way will not give you any real benefit. Instead, it will only bring more trouble and pain. The document even uses the simple phrase, you will only have bad luck. On a deeper level, you won't be able to escape the cycle of pain from birth and death. And your body and mind will always feel a sense of bitterness, discomfort, and a feeling of being stuck. This constant bitterness and suffering directly relates to the effects of diseases of affluence, right? Your body is in pain from various illnesses, which is a kind of bitterness. Your mind also can't find peace because of constant desire, which is also a kind of bitterness. Both body and mind suffer. Yes. The conversation also honestly says that it's very, very hard to change these deep-seated habits. This is because the power of the habits we've built up over a long time is too strong. It also seems to say that this difficulty isn't just a personal struggle. The document mentions that if someone tries to point out that this way of life is a problem, they might be seen as crazy or abnormal. Yes, the record says that when someone tries to make others see the problem, they are often thought to be crazy. This shows the social pressure that comes with changing your mindset and habits. The old, common ways of thinking and acting have a strong inertia that is not easy to change. That's true. Also, there's one more thing in the conversation that I think is important, the way the teacher and student talk to each other. Oh, how so? The teacher didn't just give a direct answer. He tried to guide the student to think for himself and understand the ideas. The teacher wanted the student to explain how these Buddhist concepts connect to real life in his own words. Have him speak for himself? Yes. This seems to suggest that if Buddhist teachings don't truly become a part of your life, it's hard to use them in a flexible and convincing way. Just knowing the words isn't enough. Okay, wow. Thank you so much for explaining all of this. Let's try to summarize. From the conversation from the Australian Buddha Dharma Society, the main idea we discussed today is that it gives us a very different way to look at our lives. It says that many of the things we chase, especially eating and consuming, which can lead to diseases, might come from a basic mistake in how we see things. A misunderstanding? Yes. A misunderstanding. We might mistake suffering for happiness, and we might use what we've learned and what society tells us to see things that are not clean as pure and beautiful. The reason we do this is largely because we have been conditioned for a long time by our culture. So, how can this idea help you, the listener? This idea is like a mirror, right? It shows us habits that we've never questioned. It reminds us to stop and look at the habits we take for granted and the ideas we deeply believe about what is good and bad, happy and painful. Are they really so set in stone? This brings up a very basic question: are we chasing things that only give us a quick thrill but might cause us pain later? Or are we chasing a state that gives us lasting inner peace and a healthy body and mind? Maybe, as the document suggests, we need to redefine what true happiness is. Finally, we want to leave you with a question to think about. Since this document says that our judgment about something as basic as food is so influenced by what we've learned and what society tells us, are there any other values, goals, or things you strongly want to chase in your life that might also be worth looking at again? Could you also be accidentally seeing suffering as joy, and the impure as pure?